I'm going to get started because, like I said, I'm conscious of the time and respectful of that. So I'll get started by welcoming everyone. Thank you all for attending our first virtual Graduate and Professional Schools Expo. My name is Charmaine Roderick. I'm the Career Resource Advisor at Careerspace. And Careerspace, we have several services. We have virtual appointments and workshops and online resources and opportunities like this to meet with employers and recruiters. Our services are free for all Trent students and alumni. You can visit our website, trentu.ca/careerspace, to book an appointment, to learn more about our services, and to access our resources. So we're thrilled to have King's University College School of Social Work here with us, Rachel. And Rachel will be doing her presentation, and then we'll have a few minutes after for you to ask questions. And can you enter those questions in the Q&A section? And then Rachel will be able to answer them, and I can even ask them, and then Rachel can answer them. So we are recording this session, and this will be, give us a few days to edit it, and then we will be putting it on the Careerspace YouTube channel. So students, if any of your friends or colleagues who couldn't make it today are interested, just remind them that in about a week, it will be up on our YouTube channel, and they can certainly learn about all this valuable information from there. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Rachel.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful, all the way from where I am right now, which is Bayfield, Ontario. So we're all coming from different places, which is kind of neat.
Do you want to explain where about, like, what's the closest city that we might know from Bayfield?
To Bayfield? Goderich is, I guess, the biggest one. So it's right on Lake Huron. So I can look out the window and I can see Lake Huron.
Oh, lovely setting for a university.
Yes. Wow. Well, and I should preface that because we work distantly. King's is not in Bayfield. I'm just in Bayfield. King's is in London. Sadly, no Lake Huron around to look at, but still a very beautiful campus. So, so since this is being recorded, I was going to ask the folks on the call what program in particular they might be interested in. But since it's recorded, maybe I'll just give a quick overview of all three of our programs so that people watching can do that. And then if the people joining us live have specific questions, we can do that. Does that sound okay?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. So King's School of Social Work is situated within Western University. So there's the big Western, and that's sort of the big university that everybody knows about. And then there's smaller universities within that campus. So there's King's, there's also Brescia and Huron. So those are the affiliate universities, but everyone's sort of under one umbrella. And when you graduate from King's, you'll actually graduate with a Western degree. So your degree will say University of Western Ontario, but you'll get the benefit of being part of sort of a smaller community at King's. So our BSW program is a professional program that people enter into after 2 years of full-time study in an undergrad. Some people come having completed a full undergrad. They decide they want to do their BSW after that. For example, myself, I did a BA in criminology, and then I after finishing that, went on and did 2 years for my BSW. So entering into the BSW program requires 10.0 credits. So if you already have a degree, or if you already have 2 or 3 years of a degree, you'll likely have those credits. You might need a few social work specific prerequisites. Sometimes people take those at other schools, and we can evaluate those and see what they will count for. Sometimes people come to King's and take those. So there are some prerequisites required for our BSW program. And like I said, people enter that. It's not a direct entry program, so you can't apply to King's and say, yep, I'm applying to the social work program, you'd have to apply to a general program, a psych or a soc or thanatology, something like that. And then after you complete those 10 entry credits with the prerequisites, you could then apply to the School of Social Work, and it would be 2 years after that. So year 3 and year 4, and we call them year 3 and year 4 because if you sort of followed the I don't want to say the normal trajectory, but the sort of most direct trajectory, you would do your first 2 years at King's in a general program, and then you would start in the BSW program in year 3 and year 4. That program includes 2 placements, a placement in your first year, so year 3, that is from January to April, and that's a 200 plus hour placement. And in 4th year, you're in placement for 500 plus hours, and that runs from September to June. Placements are often the most exciting part, people indicate, of their BSW program, and it's often how a lot of people end up getting jobs after they've completed the program. As an example, I did my placement at an organization called the London Family Court Clinic, and I ended up working there for 8 years after that. So it is certainly a helpful part of our program, gets you connected to the community and gets you some real life experience in the field and ready for practice when you've completed that 4th year. And so the BSW is great because it is not only a degree that you'll get, but it's also a profession. So when you graduate with a BSW, because we are accredited with the Canadian Association of Social Work Education, you can apply to the college to call yourself a social worker and to work as a social worker. Our BSW also, of course, includes coursework. So in year 3, you would do all required social work courses, and it's only social work students that would be in those courses. Generally, we take between 40 and 45 students in our BSW program, and that generally depends on field resources, faculty resources. We took a few less students this year because of COVID. Placements are a little more scarce, although our field office has done an amazing job, and we will have placements in the community for everybody. But we did take a few, literally just a few less students than we generally would for that program, but you'll stay with that cohort throughout your entire Bachelor of Social Work degree if you choose to go that way. So that is our undergraduate program. And maybe I'll ask, is it okay to ask now if there's any questions in relation to the BSW program?
Let me unmute. Yes, if anyone has any questions about the undergraduate program, definitely enter it now in the Q&A section.
And I don't think I can see that, so you'll just let me know if
I'll let
anything
you know.
pops up. Okay. Okay. So maybe I'll just keep going, and if anything pops up, just let me know. Yeah, I'm mindful of the time too. So once you've completed a BSW, or in some circumstances, once you've completed a 4-year BA, general BA, you would be eligible for one of our 2 MSW programs as well. So again, our MSW programs are at King's. It's actually the only graduate program that's run out of King's. And we are housed within the School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies at Western. So again, you will receive a Western degree if you complete your MSW at King's, but you'll get the benefit of being at a small campus with a small class, a small cohort. You'll get to know the faculty, you'll get to know the staff. We really do have that sort of small town feel, but the opportunities that all the larger campuses have to offer, because you have access to all of Western's amenities as you are a Western student. So our 1-year program, or 1-year MSW, is for those who've completed a BSW. And so if you've done a 2-year BSW, your MSW at King's is just 1 year. And then we have another stream for those who have done a general 4-year undergrad degree. So if you have a 4-year undergraduate degree, it can be in anything. It can be in music, it can be in science, it can be in literally anything. As long as it's a 4-year undergraduate degree, you would be eligible to apply to that 2-year MSW program. And so that's split across 2 years, we call the first year the foundation year and the second year the advanced standing year. And that's when the 1 year BSW grads who are now in their MSW sort of join together. So again, that's a small program. We only admit about 20 students per year and per cohort, so 20 advanced standing and 20 foundation year, or the 2-year MSW, as we sort of refer to it. And that's our 2-year MSW, I would say, is our most competitive program because you don't need a BSW. So the pool of applicants is just that much bigger because you don't need the BSW to apply to that. And so that would, I think out of all 3 programs, that one is certainly the most competitive, the largest applicant pool. And those programs, again, have a very strong placement focus. Our MSW programs are both course-based programs, so we are not a thesis-based program. We are direct practice. So sometimes if people are looking to go on to PhDs and wanting to do research, King's would not necessarily be the school for you if you have a very driven research focus. While everything we do is grounded in research and literature, we don't have a thesis option to our MSW program. It's strictly direct practice. So we are trying to create practitioners who at the end of their MSW can go out and work in clinical settings, in leadership, in community settings with individuals, really sort of a generalist focus. So it is course-based, just like our BSW program. It runs either 1 year or over 2 years. In addition to the courses that you would take, you also complete what we call program milestones. So the first program milestone is an academic integrity module, which is something that every student who is part of Western's School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies has to complete. The second milestone is orientation, which is a really easy one to get because you just have to attend orientation, which this year was done via Zoom, but it's really meant to get you, as the name suggests, oriented to the program, to the services that King's has, to what you're going to be doing, meeting the faculty, those types of things. And then we have what we call our professional development workshops. So in addition to the courses that you're going to do, depending on what stream you're in, you either have to complete 3 or 6 professional development workshops. So 3 if you're in the 1-year program, 6 if you're in the 2-year program. And those are really neat because they are put on by people doing work in our community, but also across Canada. The most recent one we had was on child welfare issues and duty to report as social workers and the changing landscape of child welfare within COVID. I think we have another one coming up on resiliency and self-care and social work. So those are really interesting seminars that you would attend as part of the program. And then we have what's called the Integrative Capstone exercise. And this is sort of where your graduate studies come to a close. You work together in groups to do a sort of a final case study from start to finish. And then it's presented to a group of panelists, which include faculty and community members. And it's really an opportunity to show what you've learned throughout the program. So in addition to the courses, you have those milestones. And then of course we have the placements. So placements in our MSW programs run from January till June. And Monday, Wednesday, Friday usually is the schedule for that. And over 700, I think, plus hours in that time frame. Again, what often people say is the most exciting part of their MSW education, which is sort of getting out there, practicing the skills, and really learning hands-on how to be social workers. And so that, like I said, runs from January to June. You'll do it twice. You'll do 2 practicums if you're in the 2-year program and 1 practicum if you are in the 1-year program. So that is a very quick Cole's notes about the 3 different programs that we offer. If you were applying to the MSW program, you do so through the School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies at Western. Again, it's a little confusing because you're thinking, well, I'm going to King's, and so I would apply to King's, and you would think that, but because our graduate program is housed within Western, it is the School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies that you would apply for to the program through. The application includes your academics, of course. So the MSW program is evaluated on a 50-50 split. So 50-50, 50 academic and 50 non-academic score. When the School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies is calculating your entrance average for the MSW program, they take the last 10.0 courses that you've done. What that means is generally people do better in their later years. And so if you're applying to the MSW program and you want them to include your fall marks, let's say you're applying in this coming January for September because you're finishing up your undergrad this year, you would want to wait until your marks are posted for your fall term before applying, so that Western can take those into account when they're calculating that average. So they'll take the last 10.0 credits, whether they're made up of full 1.0 credits or half credit courses, they'll evaluate that. Our minimum to apply is 70%. This is the minimum you have to meet to be academically eligible to apply. It doesn't mean that if you meet the minimum that you'll be offered admission, obviously, but that's the minimum that you need to apply. In terms of the non-academic portion of the application, for the 2-year program, which I think most people would fall into, you will have to complete sort of a summary of the hours of experience that you have in either direct or indirect human service. Again, the minimum is 1,000 hours. However, we often find that successful candidates, so those who are meeting our top 20 spots, often have many more hours than just 1,000. Sometimes people are coming to that program, they've been working, let's say, as a child and youth worker for 10 years, and they're wanting to get their MSW, and so they're coming with lots of experience. So just be mindful of that, that the 1,000 hours is sort of the minimum, but often those who are applying have many more hours of human service experience. The other thing you'll have to do is reply to some supplemental questions. So just some questions about why social work, why you're ready to be in the field of social work, and those kinds of things. So there's the two sort of parts of the application, the academic part, which is valued at 50%, and then the non-academic part, which is valued at 50%. The split's a little different in the BSW program. 60% of that is marks that they take in, the average of those 10.0 entry credits, and 40% is the non-academic score. And that application actually looks very similar to the MSW application in that there's questions that you have to answer, and there's sort of a resume that you have to fill out that outlines your work and volunteer experience that you have done. So in terms of where you would work, if you were a social worker, let's say you apply and successfully get in and complete the program, social workers work everywhere. Hospitals, justice, just as an example, my role before I was here, I was preparing child witnesses to testify in court. So working in the justice system, working in healthcare, working in community-based organizations, working in school boards, really any social service agency generally has a social worker on board. So whether it's individual counseling, group work, policy work, there's lots of social workers that are involved in creating policy. So working, you know, at the city of London or the city of Peterborough, or those types of things. There's really social workers in a wide variety of places, and that's why it's an exciting career. Because you can sort of pick and choose what you're interested in. And so if you're interested in doing clinical work, an MSW is, and a BSW is going to assist you in doing that. But if you're interested in program development, like you know, I did creating, you know, programs for child witnesses, you can also go you can go that direction. So it's really an exciting career. It opens up lots of doors, and there's lots of opportunities to do lots of different things. So I'm a little biased, but I would certainly recommend it if you are interested in working with people and making sort of larger systems changes. Social work would certainly be a great fit for you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I do have a question here from the students.
Sure.
The question is, how many applicants do you generally have for a one-year MSW program?
For the one-year program, which is people who've had their BSW, it changes every year, but I would say on average the last few years, upwards of over 100. I can't give an exact number because it really does vary and change throughout the year, but our 2-year program certainly has many more than that.
Because you're coming from a wide range of
yeah, it's a wider net of people
right.
that are available to apply to that program. Yeah.
And sort of to follow up on that, because it sounds like it's quite competitive, any advice you could give to our students about making a good application? I'm just also curious about the BSW, the 50% non-academic score. So these are not people coming with work experience. So would it be a lot of volunteering, and is that important, community involvement and volunteering for part of that score?
For sure. So for the BSW program, certainly it's people often, we see often people who are younger, right? And that's, there are certainly mature students who apply there who have lots of working experience, but there are lots of people that are just applying from their second year in university. So starting early in terms of volunteering and really picking volunteer opportunities that have you working directly with marginalized populations. So just as an example, volunteering to host or to organize a walk is great. And it's good work, but it's not sort of the direct. We want to see that those applying to social work know what social work is all about. So something that might be more helpful is, let's say, working or volunteering for the Men's Mission, working in one of their drop-in programs or something. So some volunteer experience where you're really sort of hands-on working directly with those marginalized populations that you're going to come across when you're working as a social worker. One of the questions I get is around COVID, and a lot of volunteer opportunities are not as available as they were. One good opportunity is Kids Help Phone. They're always recruiting volunteers. That's direct one-on-one crisis response. They provide great training, and it's something that can be done during COVID. So really those, not as much the administrative, although those are important to volunteer for those types of things. When we're looking for the application, we want to see that you've sort of gotten your hands dirty and really, worked on the ground and are able to have an understanding of what social work looks like.
Perfect. Are there any other questions from the audience? All right, so before I finish up, I just want to remind the students that, you heard from Rachel that there's an application, there's going to be like a personal statement or a statement of intent, questions that have to be answered. So you want to, you'll want to attend our personal statement workshop that Careerspace and Academic Skills is doing. We're doing that on Tuesday, November 10th from 1 to 2 p.m. It'll be virtual, and you'll be able to sign up at the Student Experience Portal events calendar. So that's going to help you put forth your best application document, whether it's a personal statement, answering the questions, or some people call it statement of intent. They'll talk to you about how to do the best that you can. And then also just wanted to remind the students that on November 13th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. we're going to have a Trent specific graduate and professional schools expo, very similar format as this. So you would, same sort of thing, go to the Student Experience Portal to the events calendar, and on November 13th there will be a sign up and registration uh, um, form online there. So if there aren't any other questions, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Rachel for presenting some very good information, very clear, because there's a lot of options you have there, and thank our students for attending and reminding you guys that it's going to be, that it's recorded and it will be available on our Careerspace YouTube video. So have a great
Wonderful.
day, everyone, and thank you all for attending.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Have
Bye.
a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye.